What was that last lap like when knowing you were going to win your first ever 250 Supercross? What was that like in your head?
Very nerve-wracking. I'd say I almost yelled over the both triples, but when I got in the air, I was like, I still got to make it through the whoops.
Damn them for putting those so close to the finish.
Yeah.
And Davey yelled at me, like, this was before the season. He's like, if it's last lap, you're leading, do not celebrate early. I was like, all right, I won't. And I almost thought about it, and I was like, nope, can't do it. You can't do it. And once I made it out of the whoops, I yelled a little bit. Yeah. I yelled a little bit in the helmet.
That's nice.
You kind of mentioned a minute ago, knowing it's Cole Davey's rookie season, and the pressure kind of – he's going to kind of probably make some mistakes when you're up front like that. Do you feel a big difference mentally from last year to this year with that same thing of if you're up front doing well, kind of feeling the pressure versus this year is maybe a little easier?
Yeah, for sure. I think I wouldn't say, like, as a rookie, I wouldn't say you're expected to win, obviously, but when you're put in that position and you have that, say, expectation on yourself almost.
Yeah.
You get in that position, you freeze a little bit, and I think that was something I really learned last year. Was like when you get into that position, you have to make sure you stay composed, and we worked a lot on that, even just with being patient when I was behind people. Last year, I struggled a lot with, like, if I had a bad start in the heat race, I would rush a little bit too much. I'd almost panic a little bit, and you know where that leads. You either end up on the ground or not making the main event. So even like on Saturday night, I started, I think I was like 18th in turn 1 in the heat race.
Mm-hmm.
And I really just focused on trying to be patient, letting the passes come to me. Don't get frustrated. Don't panic. We got 6+1, and I think that was like 8 laps that night in the heat race. So we had time, and I've been focusing a lot on trying to make sure that when I get into those situations, not to panic and just ride how I normally ride.
Yeah, Steve, he told me our interview was before the season started, and that's when he said he had 2 things that he was really focused on this season: not crashing on press day, because he did that a couple times, and when he doesn't necessarily get a start or he has to make passes, like not getting ahead of himself, right?
Yeah.
Doing it strongly, but also getting too far ahead of yourself.
That's what you see in some vets.
Yeah.
Some vet older riders still haven't figured that out.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of my point. Is he seems very race smart for his age and the amount of time he's been a pro. Like when you talk to him, he knows what he needs to do, and he seems to be able to implement it.
Right. Okay, so we saw the social clip of Haiden in qualifying, round 2 already, trying to mess with you a little bit. That's kind of what he likes to do. I made a joke on Twitter, I think, or somewhere. I said, "Oh, it's coming," and then someone was like, "Oh, wait, you got to see this."
A race review. Yes.
I made a joke on the race review, like, "Oh, Haiden absolutely is going to."
You said, "When is it going to happen?"
Yeah.
And I'm listening to him going, "Oh, it already did."
Yeah, it already did. It already happened. But I mean, I'm sure Davey's talking to you about this, and it's not his first rodeo, and we know the stuff that Haiden likes to do. So I guess you got to be fully ready for it at A2 there, Julien.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I was ready for it coming into this weekend. It was
okay.
I could already sense that it was gonna start happening, especially in qualifying, because me and him, I feel like, we're the 2 guys that can just send it in qualifying, and we have that raw speed. I feel like so. I knew in qualifying he was gonna try and mess around and start doing stuff, and I was on a fast lap, and I seen him in front of me. And I watched him look back, and I was like, "Oh yeah, here we go."
All right. Yeah.
I could see this one coming from a mile away, and I didn't even know he pointed at me until I'd say 5 hours ago when I seen a video. But when he tried to mess up my lap, I just laughed about it. I've been dealing with his antics since I was 6 years old. It's nothing new, and I was fully ready for it.
What I was impressed with, Steve, was I saw the hand come up, and he was on a fast lap. I was watching his lap, and I had noticed this also at A1. Is he doesn't just do a fast lap and then I'm doing a roll lap every time. He just keeps going. He'll do 2 or 3. So, yeah, Haiden got in his way, kind of tried to mess him up a little bit. He just did another one, and I believe that was the one that took him to the top of the board in session 1. Like, he just wasn't rattled.
Actually, that's funny you say that, because in session 1, after he did that, I ran I don't think that lap took me to the top of the board, but I think it was 1/10 off.
Yeah.
But I knew that it was 1/10 off, and I knew where I lost it. And but I had already knew he was messing with me, so I was like, all right, like if we're gonna play that game, we'll play it. And I sat that next lap. I did a roll lap, and I ran the clock all the way. I think I went across the finish line with like 3 seconds left. I ran the clock all the way down, and I went for my fast lap that topped the board with he had no time to respond to.
Right.
And I was like, if you want to play a game, then I'll just run the clock down and do my fast lap.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. Yeah.
You can tell how bad both those guys want fast lap. Like A1, right? They went back and forth. And it's like, it really matters. It's pretty cool to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, it is cool.
I take pride in the fast lap.
Do you have a fast lap bonus? Because I know some Cali guys do. Do you have one?
No fast lap bonus.
But Haiden, Hayden's a really great rider. I've been critical of him on this show for things he says, not the riding and everything else. And this weekend he's like, hey, Julian's got all the pressure now. And I'd be like, no, you were the guy that's supposed to. People were talking about you sweeping this series. You're 10 back after 2 rounds. Like, you are the 800-pound gorilla that is expected to win this, your 3rd year of Supercross. I would say, Hayden, the pressure is actually on you. But that's what I would be. If I was Davey or Julian, that's exactly what I'd say. I'd be like, dude, I'm in my 2nd year.
Yeah.
This is a bonus. So
I actually came back to the truck after that press conference. I came back to the truck. And because when he said it, I just chuckled. I was just like, how does that – I don't get how that made any sense to him.
No, yeah, I don't really know either. But I think Brian's there.
That threw me off. Like, I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I came back, and I told Davey, and Davey was laughing. He was like, oh, that's interesting.
I think that's why he said it, though, is like if you start to believe it, then it is on you. So I really – it's a lot of head games. I mean – Yeah.
But I don't think, like Julian said, this is what they've been doing forever. And if you just know the Deegan thing, you're like, okay, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just going to do my race, So, hey, we had Alex Ray on earlier, Julian. He didn't want to admit this at all. He didn't want to talk about it. But O'Neill and One Industries, although 2 separate companies, are sort of sister company. I don't know how to say it.
Same distribution.
Sure. You were in O'Neill last year. You're in One this year. Both looks were good. How did that come about, switching to One? And whose decision was that? And how did that come together a little bit? Because, again, same distribution, so we'll just go with that.
I didn't say it was same distribution. That word's not spoken by me.
Okay, this is spoken. But how did the switch come about?
I don't know exactly how it came about. I think we were just at the end of the season.
Okay.
We had talked about it a little bit, and then right after Ironman, we had a meeting about it, and I told them that I wanted to be in One, and I felt like we could really, really build the One brand to something big like it was back in the day when One was the biggest gear company out there. So I wanted to be in One, and I felt like I wanted to bring that back to the pro scene.
Okay, fair enough.
I like the look of One.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks really good. But I like some of the O'Neill stuff last year. I thought it looked like some orange and blue stuff was just a good look. So
they did really good with all our kits last year as well.
Yeah, no, I thought so. So that's the first One Industries win since Dunge? I don't even know.
It's been a while. Yeah, I think so.
I've heard Davey was the last one to win it.
Let's not. If he listens to this, then he's going to start calling in and saying he was the best.
Hey, he's also the last one to win in a rye.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, he's also the last guy to have his pants fall down in the main event. Have you seen those photos?
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Okay, yeah. A lot of firsts for Millsaps. David Millsaps out there.
lot of firsts.
First win as a coach.
Yeah.
See, there we go.
And Davey's got Benny, Julian. Who else is he working with?
Ryder.
Ryder. That's right. Ryder.
Yep,
he talked about that last week. So.
Yep.
So how's that group? How is it, did you go up to the beta place to ride at all in the off season?
Yeah, we went up there. We went up there for a week during boot camp to ride with Benny. So we had a good time up there. The whole crew was up there, so it was fun. And then it's been a really good dynamic. I think obviously Benny being up at beta, we're not with him all the time, but we still everyone texts and we all banter back and forth and laugh about things. But I think having Ryder D there with me this year was really good for both of us. But the biggest thing for me was, one, having a guy to chase and ride with every day, and two, being able to work on, like I said, the patience thing, having patience when you're behind, making sure you pick passes in the right spot. And that's something, not just Davey, Frankie was really hard on me this offseason about, like, there was every day where he was like, you weren't patient enough here, you weren't patient enough there. You need to be more patient with it. And we worked a lot on that. So I think that was one of the biggest upsides of having a bigger group this offseason.
Yeah, and speaking of patience, I think I mentioned this to you after post races. Like, okay, you've got a little bit of a points gap. It's a short series. So now, like, the goal is don't mess up. Don't have a bad race. You got to be able to settle for a third, maybe even a fourth if worst case. But how do you be patient and kind of tell yourself, okay, tonight's not the night. I can't chance having a big one and losing a bunch of spots, because it wouldn't take long to lose that points lead.
Yeah, for sure. I think obviously short season, you have to think smart with it, and you have to be patient if it doesn't come to you the way it did, like, say, on Saturday night. It came to me really easily. But I think the biggest thing that I have in my head is if I ride how I've been riding this beginning of this season and how I ride at the test track, I shouldn't be off the podium.
Yep.
That's my thing, is if I ride like I know how to ride, I shouldn't be off the podium. If I'm off the podium, I either didn't execute the start or I didn't ride how I'm supposed to ride. So those are the two biggest things on my mind, is show up, execute, and ride how I know how to ride.
Yeah, it's probably a great point. Like, the way you're riding right now, yeah, I mean, you get a 5th, 6th place start, the podium's still totally there and capable and everything else. Did you change your bike setup much from last year's Supercross to this year's Supercross? Or did the SMX stuff help you find some stuff? Because we also saw you step up in SMX. We actually should have, all of us losers in the media, we should have been, you were the flying the test track guy, as we know, but we also, that hasn't always worked. So we weren't, really thinking about being true, but we should have looked at you at SMX and been like, oh, Juju took a step in SMX. He's going to take another step in Supercross. But how'd you set up your bike differently, if at all?
Yeah, completely different setup from last year.
Okay.
Just everything, our whole bike, I felt like, has gelled so much better. I mean, you can see the results with Chase now. He looks a lot more comfortable on the bike, and me as well. We made a lot of progress with the bike, and I think that came from, I'd say, SMX. I was able to, during SMX, I was testing full Supercross. Like, I was training with whoops, everything during SMX, just so I had a little bit of a base coming into the off season, and I knew where we were at somewhat with the bike. And I'd say I found my setup that I'm pretty much still on right now, 3 weeks into riding.
Nice.
Like 3 weeks into off season, I had a setup already, and we were ready to go.
Just kept riding, yeah.
So when asked those type of questions, Steve, like, what did you change, settings, we get kind of vague. So I want to, like, specifically, what are some components you changed? What are some significant? So the listeners that really like those details, like, what did you change? Was it completely different suspension settings? Was it transmission stuff, engine? What was it?
To be 100% honest with you, I have got no idea.
Okay. Easy enough. That's fine. But you just
no idea.
Okay, so are you telling the team, hey, I'm feeling this, and they're going, all right, we're going to try to do this to fix it, or are they seeing the problems and they're fixing it themselves?
It's both. A lot of it this off season was me saying, this is what I feel. What can we do?
Okay.
They did something. I came out, this was good or this was bad.
Sure.
We really like. I really like when they don't tell me what they're doing. That's my biggest thing, because I want to be able to come back, and if I have feedback and they're like, that is the complete opposite of what it should have done, and it's like, oh, well, then that's false feeling almost.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I want to go ride the bike and have a completely open mind of, like, what I think it's going to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And not go in there like, oh, it's probably going to do this. Like, it could do this or it could do that.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest thing for me this off season, was being able to do that.
Also, in my time as a mechanic, like, we used to tell the riders, hey, if you don't feel a difference, tell us. Don't make something up. Don't say, oh, yeah, it does this. Like, if you come in, we're not going to laugh at you as some dumb idiot if you say, I can't tell. That's fine. You know what I mean? Like, that's another thing I think riders need to learn is, like, dude, I don't really feel anything. And, you know,
Yeah.
just got to be confident that you don't, and then not be ashamed and think that the team's going to be like, oh, this guy's a moron.
Right.
You know, it's so in my time, we used to tell riders that all the time. Like, what do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't feel anything, cool. But, and then we'll go from there,
Yeah.
you know? So,
Yeah, and you can ask anyone on our team. I'm very picky.
okay.
Like one click can make the bike terrible or make it the greatest thing in the world. Like I'm very particular on how it feels. And even this weekend, qualifying session 2, I was a little frustrated. I wasn't riding great. I wasn't too happy with the setting. We made one click and the bike we completely changed the bike. So it's just like I'm very picky and I can feel like the littlest things. So having that, I feel like is nice, just so like we don't have to make drastic changes to feel stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the first thing that you look for in a feel? What do you want? Is it something with the front end, the rear end? What makes you comfortable immediately?
A lot of traction. I want the bike to be very planted. I don't like any like upset feeling or it to not like move too well.
Mm-hmm.
I like the thing to just track really well.
What are you going to buy with this Supercross wind bonus? Do you
geez.
have something on your mind? Another fur coat?
Actually,
Like, yeah, what's the plan?
I need to figure out what I'm wearing this weekend. I haven't figured that out yet. But other than that, I don't got too much. I think I'm going to put it in my money market account and just let it make some money.
Probably not a bad idea. How much for a Pulp MX shirt on Track Walk? Is this up for bids? Something we can do? You know, I don't know.
Don't do it, man. Anybody that does a sticker deal or shirt deal with Steve.
Yeah, that's true. It does go south.
Don't do that to him.
It does go south. Yeah, like ask Will Hahn. It just
Or
completely
anybody.
completely went south.
McAdoo, anybody.
All right.
Oh yeah, McAdoo too.
Yeah.
Yeah, McAdoo.
Anybody.
That didn't work out with
anybody
McAdoo
that
either.
uses your sticker has something go wrong. Or
Not everybody, but a lot. You're right. All right, Julien, thanks for the time, man. I appreciate the time tonight. Congrats on the win. That's awesome. This series is going to be really cool to watch. Like, we know Deegs. We know how fast he is. You're on another level. Jordan's great. You know, it went from us loser media guys saying, hey, Deegs is going to roll this thing, to Julian's on his level. Jordan's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. This is going to be a great series. So
I agree.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It's going to be 8 more rounds. We got to fight, and we're going to keep fighting each weekend and try to pick these wins off.
And then make sure you tell Davey that, like, I'm your favorite media guy. He'll really like that.
okay.
Davey will really like that.
He's been I've already had him on multiple times because I like him and respect him. You just waited till he finally got a win and like, oh, now I'll get him.
I just do this for Millsaps. I just want
Yeah,
to
man.
I want to make Millsaps
No,
mad. That's
Juju's,
all
one
I
of
wanna
my,
do.
Juju's my guy. Sorry, you can't have him.
All right, Juju. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
All right.